This is Caitlin Clark derangement. The commissioner of the league has it. Everybody else in the league has it. They get gifted the greatest thing in sports, Caitlin Clark, and they'd rather destroy it, not acknowledge it, diminish it, take credit for themselves, rather than celebrate and explain this gift and ask themselves, how can we get more? Men believe teamwork makes the dream work. Women believe scheme work makes the dream work. And so they're all scheming on how they can get credit and attention for what Caitlin Clark has brought.
Angel Reese. Jason Whitlock goes off on the WNBA commissioner for hating on Caitlin Clark. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
Caitlin Clark has come along and blessed the WNBA, a league that has been in free fall for 28 years, 29 years, living off the tit and the welfare of men.
Exactly.
They get blessed with Caitlin Clark and the commissioner of the league. The commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, she pins a 2,600-word column in the Harvard Business Review, giving herself credit for the rise of the WNBA in the last 12 months.
Can't be serious. It's impossible.
A 2,600-word story that she wrote.
I don't understand why the WNBA, they're not embracing Caitlin Clark. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a business that's pretty much failing to have the golden goose. You're not putting all your resources behind her to catapult her to the next level. This is business malpractice. It's obvious that some reason the WNBA, the commissioner, a lot of the players, they don't like Caitlin Clark only because she's getting all the attention. If I was running a business and there was like a star person there, a star employee, okay, I'm going to make sure they do great. I'm going to make sure we put all the resources behind that individual so we can kind of get them out in the forefront. But for some reason with the WNBA, ESPN, a lot of people in mainstream media, they refuse to give Caitlin Clark her flowers.
About the rise of the WNBA. She mentions Caitlin Clark twice in passing in a 2,600-word explanation of why the WNBA has risen. This is women. This is delusion. This is a false narrative being written by the commissioner of the WNBA that ignores that Caitlin Clark is 98.9% of the reason the league has elevated in the past year, if not 100%.
200%. Caitlin Clark saved the WNBA. A lot of people on social media, when I put those comments on there, they don't like it. How could she say the WNBA? How could one person do that? Think about how the W is being covered now. It wasn't being covered like that 4 and 5 years ago. Caitlin Clark elevated that business. They're going to be profitable soon as long as these players don't try to intentionally hurt Caitlin Clark and be dirty towards her. She's going to go ahead and really make this business an actual business. They're losing money and she's helping stop the bleeding right now as far as, that business bank account. So at the end of the day, man, a lot of people going to hate even the commissioner. But if the commissioner don't get her act together, I think she needs to be fired.
You can't tell the story of the growth of the WNBA without spending an inordinate amount of time and energy and words and explanation all centered around Caitlin Clark.
Real
the commissioner of the WNBA, a woman, figured out a way to do it in the Harvard Business Review, no less.
Fire her immediately.
This is Caitlin Clark derangement. The commissioner of the league has it. Everybody else in the league has it. They get gifted the greatest thing in sports, Caitlin Clark, and they'd rather destroy it, not acknowledge it, diminish it, take credit for themselves, rather than celebrate and explain this gift and ask themselves, how can we get more?
Exactly. Caitlin Clark is the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. Yeah, you're going to have your good players like Asia Wilson, a couple other decent individuals, but no one's moving the needle like Caitlin Clark. So for the W commissioner not to acknowledge Caitlin Clark, to only, say her word 2 times within that whole thing she wrote down. So for her to only acknowledge Caitlin Clark barely, it doesn't make sense. So I don't understand how this commissioner still has a job if you're not pushing your main product. Without Caitlin Clark, there would be no WNBA right now. It'd just be a whatever type of league, and no one would really care. But Caitlin Clark is making the W make mainstream ESPN programming like First Take, people debating. And then if you try to side with Caitlin Clark, all of a sudden they're going to label you a certain word, or they're going to hate on you. You're going to face a lot of backlash in the black community if you side with Caitlin Clark over Angel Reese. So again, I don't get it, but hopefully Caitlin Clark continues to push forward, ignore the noise. I know she tries to, fall back a little bit. She doesn't want to embrace it, but Caitlin Clark, you saved the WNBA and you need your flowers.
This is women.
Protect Caitlin Clark.
They do not work together as well as men. Call me a sexist pig all you want, but I'm
Got
right.
a point.
Men believe teamwork makes the dream work. Women believe scheme work makes the dream work. And so they're all scheming on how they can get credit and attention for what Caitlin Clark has brought.
Angel Reese.
I saw this story in the Harvard Business Review because I'm on the email list and I'm a subscriber to Ethan Strauss. And he did a very good breakdown of the delusion of this article. I went and read the article myself and found several things in here just fascinating, and just I just want to unpack some of the quotes or the things that Kathy Engelbert wrote, and it was like from word go, this article was delusional. And
Not surprised, unfortunate.
To me, like, women live in a delusional state where they are always the star of whatever movie, whatever scene they're in. They are the driving force.
That's what we're seeing with Angel Reese. She's pretty much riding the coattails of Caitlin Clark, saving the W. She feels as though she's one of the reasons why. Yeah, you're being talked about on social media, but it's not for the game of basketball. It's for other things. So as far as on the court and then what she's doing outside the court, Caitlin Clark, she's running things right now. So Angel Reese, your best bet, apologize for disrespecting Caitlin Clark, and maybe she'll forgive you.
It would be, if I came on this show and talked about my high school football team that was nationally ranked, won the state championship, finished number 9 in the country. And let's say I spent 20 minutes talking about my high school team, and I spent 90 seconds of that 20 minutes talking about Jeff George, our quarterback. And I spent the other, 90 seconds? The other 18 minutes and 30 seconds talking about myself. That would be delusional.
It wouldn't be right.
We finished 14-0, nationally ranked, because we had a transcendent, once-in-a-generation talented quarterback named Jeff George. And whether I like it or not, and this isn't gas, this isn't exaggeration, I was the second best player on that team, the second most important player on that team. There was no running game without me. There was very little leadership without me. And that's not me hyping myself up. Those are just facts.
Stand on business.
But Jeff George drove the bus. Jeff George was an incredible talent. I'm not so delusional that I would sit here and tell the story of my high school football team. I wouldn't tell the story of my college football team without mentioning Bernie Parmalee and Tim Walton and Eugene Riley and all these other guys that I played with that were our quarterback, David Riley, that was the MVP of the conference.
Great analogy, and you can bring that back to the W. All these players feel as though they're the reason why. Record viewership, selling out games, especially when the Fever is playing. They feel as though they're the reason why, but let's be real. Without Caitlin Clark, I could see the WNBA possibly going out of business. So if you got someone like that, a once-in-a-lifetime business opportunity, the Golden Goose, it's time for the W players to start putting respect on Caitlin Clark's name. You don't got to go all out and put the red carpet out for her, but all of the dirty plays, like the Kennedy Carter chick. You got Angel Reese rooting for Caitlin Clark, falling to the ground and possibly being injured. That's letting you know when it comes to these WNBA players, they're filled with a lot of jealousy, and it has to stop. Put some respect on Caitlin Clark's name immediately.
But women will make themselves the star. So Kathy Engelbert probably has 1% to do with the growth of the WNBA.
Less than 1%.
And Caitlin Clark has 90% to do, 98% to do with the growth of the WNBA. But here's how her story starts out. By nearly every metric, 2024 was a standout year for Women's National Basketball Association.
Here we go.
As transcendent rookies, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Cameron Brink entered the league, regular season games drew an average of 1.2 million viewers, up 170% from the previous season, and our All-Star game brought in an all-time high of 3.4 million, triple that of the 2023 event. We saw the highest arena attendance in 22 years, with every team posting at least double-digit year-on-year growth, and we set records for social media engagement with more than 2 billion views across platforms, merchandise sales, and media and sponsor revenues. This woman threw Caitlin Clark's name out there like she was the equal of Angel Reese and Cameron Brink. Cameron Brink got injured 3, 4, 5 games into the season. And Cameron Brink's she's about as attractive as a 6'6" woman can be. And she was nice because she dressed well on draft night. But in terms of people buying tickets and people viewing games, she had no impact.
Yeah, I don't get it. Why try to lump Caitlin Clark with everybody else? It's okay to give her separate flowers. Yeah, as a business owner, you want to make sure everyone's involved. That's cool. But Caitlin Clark deserves her own separate type of article, her own interview about the impact that Caitlin Clark is bringing. So you want to try to lump her and the other chick and Reese together? I think it's wrong. I think it's disrespectful. Even Caitlin Clark, she may not say it, but she knows she saved the WNBA. And finally, people are starting to really expose the fact that a lot of these players are jealous, but the commissioner's jealous as well. She wants all the attention, but shout out to Jason Whitlock for standing on business and exposing the truth.
Angel Reese, with her made-up, ginned-up rivalry with Caitlin Clark.
Ain't a rivalry no more.
Maybe she had a little impact, but she was the 7th pick in the draft because wise people realized, like, hey, this woman can't shoot. She's not going to be able to get her shot off.
Can't make a layup.
And if they did any interviewing with her LSU teammates, Maryland teammates, anybody that's coached Angel Reese, they're like, oh, this woman is going to be a headache and a problem in the locker room. She has very little to no self-awareness. And so she went 7th. Anybody with a brain knows the draft coverage, attendance, merchandise sale, this is all Caitlin Clark. This woman starts out an article, Caitlin Clark, she starts it out with a lie.
Jealousy. That's all it is.
And then later into the story, Kathy Engelbert then says, to new followers and outside observers, our organization's success might seem overnight and even lucky, propelled by a singularly exceptional group of college players coming to the WNBA at a time when the public has finally developed an appreciation for women's basketball.
Ridiculous.
However, we could not have capitalized on those advantages without years of hard work and preparation. This is delusion. There wasn't a singular group of players. There was a singular player, and they lucked into it.
Yeah, this is hilarious. The commissioner refuses to give Caitlin Clark her flowers. Angel Reese, the other W players, jealous. They want all the attention. Like they really made a huge impact. The league was already losing money before Caitlin Clark. And again, Caitlin Clark stopped the bleeding as far as revenue losses. So she's going to continue to make a huge impact. Again, shout out to Jason Whitlock for exposing all the jealousy when it comes to Caitlin Clark. And I'm going to keep saying it. Caitlin Clark saved the WNBA.